Good morning, Rabbi Isai. All we need is a little false start. We were learning yesterday, there's a concept called Tuma Hutra B'tzibur. And that is that if most of Klal Yisrael, the majority of Klal Yisrael, let's say 51% of Klal Yisrael went to a funeral, and they were all within the Ariel, they touched the mace, whatever it is, and now it's Pesach time, and you have to bring a carbon Pesach. There's a special halacha that says that if most of Klal Yisrael are tamei, they could bring the carbon. If most of the kohanim are tamei, they could perform the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. It's Tuma Hutra B'tzibur. So one of the things we're going to be discussing is it Hutra or D'chuya. We're not going to be discussing it a lot, just for a few moments. Is it completely gone, or it's just pushed to the side? It makes a little bit of a difference. So, yesterday we were learning an interesting halacha. Let's say that most of Klal Yisrael first went to a funeral, so they all became tumas meis. It's a very severe tuma of touching a body. And then afterwards, they all became zavim. They had an emission, some sort of disease. It's also severe tuma, but not as severe as tumas meis. Now, what we said was, there's a concept called hoyel. We didn't really focus on the word hoyel, but hoyel is another concept in Shas. Hoyel, since we're going to get rid of the tumah of the dead person, if that goes off, so it'll erase with it the other tumah of ziva. So that's where we're holding now. And the Gemara says, "Va'akati le'dami." Still, I'm not happy with this. Mitzayra heterahu. The fact that a mitzayra could stick his fingers. A mitzayra, somebody who sees some blotches on his skin, comes from talking lashon hara or whatever. So there's a whole process. When he becomes tar, he has to bring karbanas, and they take the blood of the asham and the oil, and they put it on his right thumb, his right large toe, and his right ear. The problem is that he's not tar yet. Until he brings the two karbanas that he has on the side over there, the chattis and the asham, he's not tahar. He's semi-tar. So he's not allowed to go into the azara of the Beis Hamikdash. He stands on the outside. Just he sticks his finger in. So that we allow him to do. There's a heter for that. Mitzayra heterahu. So the Torah says that you're allowed to do this. We allow you to put your fingers in. Hoyel v'ishtari. So therefore, it makes sense that once I take off this tumah, I take off all tumah. So let's say, because we're talking about another case. We're talking about a case where this mitzayra guy comes on his 8th day, the final day that he has to do this whole thing, and he's all excited, he's about to bring a carbon Pesach, it's Erev Pesach, and then he becomes a Balkari. Do we say hoyel? Do we say, since we're going to remove the tumah of tzaras, so we're also going to remove the tumah, since he's allowed to go into the Beis Hamikdash for his, even though he's a mitzayra, could he also go into the Beis Hamikdash even though he's a Balkari? So on the one hand, you could view it in two different ways. On the one hand, you say, listen, hoyel v'ishtari. Once I give him a dispensation, I allow him to put his fingers in from his tzaras. The Torah tells me to do that. So therefore, everything is removed also. The carry is also removed. But Tuma D'chuya. But when it comes to the Tuma of the mace, it's only pushed off. Laha yidchi, laha la yidchi. The Torah didn't say that today, when you went to Levaya, you could do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, and it's gone. The tumah is gone. It's not gone. I push it to the side. I ignore it for now. I rather you don't come. I rather the other kind do it. It's not a heter. It's pushed off. Omar le Rava. So Rava says no. Other Rava. Maybe you can look at it in the reverse. It makes the opposite sense. Mitzayra heteru. The Torah gave you a special heter when you're mitzayra to stick your finger in, but it's only la ha'ishtari, la ha'ishtari. The Torah only allows you for the tzaras. The Torah never said, oh, about Keri could go in. Only tzaras. Tuma d'chuyi. But when it comes to the mace, the Torah pushed it off. Mali chad d'chuya, mali shtei d'chuyas. What's the difference if I push off one thing or I push off two? Once the Torah pushes it off because the whole community is tamei, so we push off everything. So that's the end of that. Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph. I call upon him. Says the Gemara, Mechlal d'Tavai Svirlu, Tuma d'chuyi b'tzibur. You see that everybody agrees that Tuma is pushed off. Baya Rava, push it to the side. So let me say it. Okay, no, so that's it. Fine. We have everybody agrees that Tuma d'chuya b'tzibur. You push it off. It's not a heter. It's pushed off. Says the Gemara. Let me say it. Perhaps we can bring a raya to Ula. We have a question whether or not you put part of your body into the Beis Hamikdash as if you completely went inside or not. Let me say, I have a right to Ula that you put your finger in, it's as if you went in with your whole body. It says, Kol ha-smicha shahayu sham, chayre aleim ani, tekev l'smicha shchita. There's a concept in Shas called tekef. In Hebrew, it means right away. So there's what's tekef? 22 amas. As much as you can walk, as long as it takes you to walk 22 amas, which is 44 feet approximately, whatever the time it takes to walk 44 feet, that's how fast you have to do this thing. Take it l'smicha shchita. You must perform the shchita immediately close to the smicha. In fact, Rashi brings the pasuk that we had yesterday. It says in pasuk Dalet and then in pasuk Hey it says v'samach, you lean, v'shachat, and you shech. There's a mitzvah, chutz mizu shoyse b'shar nikoner. Besides the one that was done by that opening, by the gate, with the 15 steps, Shar Nikoner. She'mitzayra yochal yikones l'sham at shemazin olav midam chatasoy umidam ashamay. Over there, the Mitzayra cannot go in until we sprinkle the blood of the asham. We put the blood of the asham on his fingers, the blood of the chatas you put on the mizbeach. And he take it the smicha shchita. Chutz mizu shoyse b'shar nikoner. This Mitzayra who lines himself up at the entrance of Shar Nikoner, this doorway right over here, these are the steps, these round 15 steps, you go in here into the Azar. This area right over here is where you do the karbanas. So he's standing right over here. So it says the Gemara, I'm going to show you a better chart in a second. I'll prove Ula is right, that if you come in a little bit, it's as if you came in completely. Because if it's not so, what is the problem? Why do you say that everybody has the right to do smicha, and then you can do smicha and then shchita right away? This Mitzayra also. Look at him. So let's do this chart. Check this out. It's a top view of what I just showed you. Here you see the Mizbeach is in the center. The Heichal is on the right. And Shar Nikoner is right over here. You see, this is Shar Nikoner. He's not permitted to go into this area. This entire area, that's the Azar, he can't go in there. What's the problem? Why don't we put the animal right here by the laser, and he'll stand over here by the doorway, and he'll just put his hands in. A little bit of his hands is nothing. The answer is because if his hands go in, it's as if his whole body went in, and that's Asr. It's a raya like Ula. Here we go. Check this out. So this is something that we discussed a number of times in this Masechta. What area are we doing the carbon in? The Shechita. So this is the Mizbeach. Right up here is the Mizbeach. This direction going here is north. So it says it has to be north. So is it the entire northern area right over here? Or is just, let's say, the green, which is exactly the width of the Mizbeach? Maybe when we say it has to be north of the Mizbeach, it means from this point right over here to this point over here, going north. So we're going to understand now, it means the entire northern part of the Ezra Nashim, including the purple, certainly the blue. The blue is even closer to the Heichal. So if he could stand right over here, if we could bring the animal to this purple area, so take a look. Here he is. You see the animal? That little animal is up there in the top left corner of the purple, and the guy is standing outside of the Azara. And all he does is he leans in with his hands, he puts his hands onto the animal's head, and he does smicha. Why can't the Mitzayra, you're right, he can't come in, he won't come in, but his hand could come in, it's not a problem. The answer is, his hand cannot come in. Says, no, not a raya. Omar Rav Yosef Amani, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. No! Think about it. The reason why he can't do it is because he doesn't have 20 foot long arms, or actually 44 foot long arms. The width of the purple is 22 amas. It's 44 feet. He has to stand where he's standing right now, and let's move the animal over here. The animal's over there, not him. Okay, it's not good that he's there. But the animal must be in the green box. He's not allowed to be in the purple box. It's north of the Mizbeach, Rabbi Yossi says. Exactly the width of the Mizbeach, that's it. So how is the guy standing right over here by the doorway going to extend his arms all the way here to the animal? That's 44 feet away. He can't do it. Says, oh, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehudi, the Omar Mirachak Tzafon. The Tzafon is far from that door of the Shar Nikoner. Ask the Gemara of Elevet Pishpish. Why can't the guy stand over there on the bottom of the chart by the green on the bottom and let him create a hole? Here, let me show you how the hole will look. Let him create a new hole on the left right over here and stick his hands through the regular door he can, because there's too much kedusha there. It'll create a new hole. Bring the animal. It'll still be north. If we look at this part, so now you understand. It's still in the green box. We'll bring the animal all the way to that hole, and he'll stand outside of the hole, stick his hands in. So the Gemara, no, you can't do that. It says in the pasuk, "Akol b'chsav miyad Hashem olai hiskil kol melachois hatavnes." The Beis Hamikdash is exact. You can't just add another hole, put another skylight in there, do whatever you want. Everything has a plan, and it's exactly as is. Ikadamri, Omer Rav Yosef, Kol hasoymech roishe v'rubim machnes. Oh, you know what the problem is? The problem is that if you do smicha, you lean onto the animal, you're supposed to do it with all your might. And this is what's going to happen. It's not just putting your fingertips on the guy's head. You have to put your, it might be a struggle. And then most of your body ends up behind that laser line. You have to put all your force. You can't just put your fingers and go like this, all fours. Fine. Says the Gemara, Micah Sover, but what does he hold? There's two parts here. There's the smicha, leaning on the animal. Is that the Raisa? Or maybe not. Is it a chiyuv? What if you don't do it? Which I believe, if you don't do it, it's not ma'akev. It's not the end of the world. But is it the Raisa? And then the other part is this idea that the smicha has to be right next to the shechita, has to be fast. And if the animal's outside of the azara, that's already a hefsek. It's like you washing your hands outdoors and coming back inside. It doesn't work. Or, you have to come up with a trick. But the idea of shechita smicha is a deraisa, so that could create a problem, or maybe not. So let's see. These are the two parts. Says the Gemara, Micah Sover, what does he hold? Step number one, part one, that you have to do smicha, that's a deraisa. But take the smicha shechita deraisa. And part two, that you have to do the smicha immediately before the shechita, or the shechita immediately after the smicha. Don't waste any time. Don't bring the animal from another place. And that's also deraisa. If so, le'oil v'lismech lehedya. Then what's the problem? Let him go into the azara and do smicha. Or let him do it over there at least, but the Rahman Amar, the Torah told you to do it. So why are you fighting the Torah? The Torah said, do smicha. Right? If the Torah tells you to do something, so you can't say, oh, but it's also do smicha. The Torah said to do smicha. Oh, but he's tameh. But the Torah knows that the Mitzvah is tameh. And the Torah said the Mitzvah should do smicha. This is super interesting. We just had it. We don't shake a lulav on Shabbos. But the Torah says we should. Chacham said this is Xera. So Chacham said, yes, you're right. La halacha, you're supposed to, the Mitzvah should do smicha. And he could go into the Azar and do smicha. But the concern is that this guy's going to space out, and after he does smicha, he's going to take one more step in the opposite direction. Instead of leaving, he's going to go the other way. And that's karas. Ikad Amri. Step one, or part one, that to do smicha for a metzora is a deraisa. But he could do it outside. Why? But taking the smicha shchita lav deraisa, that you have to do it quickly, like that race guy. That's not a deraisa. So if it's not a deraisa, he could do it outside. There's no problem to do smicha outside of that zara, and then slowly bring the animal back inside. If it takes 3 minutes, and if it's a little bit of a hefsek, it's not a problem. Why? Because you don't have to do it right away. That part of takev l'smicha shchita, that's not a deraisa. Meisvei v'samach v'shachat. Right. So we saw that hekesh before. V'samach v'shachat masmicha b'tahirim avshchita b'tahirim. So we had this yesterday. Since it says samach next the shachat pasuk dal pasuk hey. So we learn one halacha from the other. Just like when you do smicha, you have to be tar, you can't be tamei. Avshchita b'tahirim. That was our mishnah, that a tamei could perform shchita. The Gemara asked from over here. He's learning that no, when you do shchita, you have to be tar. The Amr's lav deraisa. If this idea of takef that you have to be right away, shchita and smicha is not deraisa, b'tmeim nami mishkachas lo. So what's the problem? Just you could do. Why can't you just do the deraisa of smicha? And the part of that the shechita has to be right next to the smicha, that's only the rabbanon, so that you'll ignore. What's the problem? The Gemara says Eli Epoch. So you're right. Let's reverse it. Smicha sasham mitzayir lav deraisa. Do the smicha. That part is not deraisa. What is deraisa? But take it with smicha shechita deraisa. But to do the smicha and the shechita right next to each other, that is, and since we don't allow the mitzayir to go in for that. He's not allowed to go in. Why? Because the smicha is not deraisa, so we don't allow him to go in for that. He's tamei. But the other part is important, that the shechita should come right after the smicha, so therefore he doesn't perform the smicha. Take the smicha shechita, deraisa. Going back, we did this, we spoke about it, we'll speak about it again. We had yesterday, bia b'miksash shma bia. We spoke about if you sticking your fingers into the Beis Hamikdash is considered as if you stuck them in, if your whole body went in. Negea too, a guy who's a mitzayra, who has to perform the whole thing with the blood and the oil, he sticks his fingers in. What if we add another tumah to him called tumas keri? Does it go off or not? Since we're daicha the tumah, you're allowed to do it for mitzayra, then we push it off for bal keri as well. The Gemara says, if you don't bring a carbon pesach, and you could, you have no excuse, you get kares. But when you go into the Beis Hamikdash, if you stick your finger in, that's also kares, because when you stick your finger in, it's like your whole body. Ravina Amar, no, liyum malchus sitmar. We're not talking about kares. This question doesn't start. Your whole question was, it's kares against kares. Why should we allow you to put your fingers in? So you can bring a carbon pesach, which is a kares. Putting your fingers in is a kares to begin with. The tummy person that goes in, no, a person who puts his fingers in, and we say mixes kukuloi, it's not kares. For that you'll get malchus. So it's less. So the issue of not bringing a carbon pesach is more severe because you get kares. Sticking your finger in is only malchus. Okay. Where Reb Shloker said that you get malchus, that's for somebody who touches, nothing to do with coming into the Beis Hamikdash. Somebody who's tamei and touches a carbon, when he's tamei, he gets malchus. The itmar tamei shenoga b'kodesh. Reb Shloker Amar loika. Reb Shloker says you get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan Amar ein loika. So Reb Shloker says you get malchus for touching kachim. What would he hold if you walk into the Beis? If you stick your fingers in to the Beis Hamikdash, you don't get anything. Zero. So Mamela, that's the Gemara's question yesterday. If you don't get anything, so why don't we say, and that's why he's allowed to, perhaps he's allowed to bring a carbon pesach, because if he doesn't bring a carbon, he'll get kares. So we allow him to put his fingers in with his tum and everything, because that you don't even get malchus for that. The Gemara thought you get kares for that. First, then now our Gemara says no, you get malchus. And then another sheet is you don't even get malchus, you get zero. So of course we should allow him to put his fingers in, so he can bring his carbon pesach, so he doesn't get kares for not bringing carbon pesach. You know what I'm saying. In other words, it's a very severe thing not to bring a carbon pesach, so we should allow it. Why? It says in the pasuk by a woman. Let's just do this real quickly because it's kedai to see this once in a while. A woman who gives birth to a male, a zachar, she becomes tamei midiraisa for 7 days. After that, she's completely tar, no matter what. She goes to the mikvah, tar for 33 days. It doesn't matter if she sees dam, doesn't see dam, 33 days of tahara. During those this is cool. We're going to learn something new today. Not everybody knows this. During these 33 days, what category is she in? Huh? Anybody? She's tar. Close. Great. She's at full yom. Isn't full yom till the night? She's at full yom aruka, aricha. For 33 days she's at full yom. Yeah? Interesting. She cannot eat truma. She certainly cannot eat kachim. Night of 33, right over here, night 40 we should call it, from her birth, from the birth. That night, she flips from Tful Yom. She's no longer at Tful Yom. Oh, for all those new guys in Phoenix. Tful Yom means that somebody who's tamei goes to the mikvah, and it's not nightfall yet. So from the point that they go to the mikvah, they're semi-tahar. They're Tful Yom. So she is tar to her husband, but she cannot eat truma, and she cannot eat kachim. But night 40, usually it's that night, but in this case we have 33 days, Harav Shemesh, at nightfall. She's permitted with truma, but she still cannot eat kachim. Why? Because now she turns into a mechusar kippurim. She's missing that carbon that she has to bring the following morning, and she didn't bring that yet. Great. Let's say she gave birth to a girl. Everything's double. She's tummy for 14 days, but she has 66 freebie days, which she's a tful yom, tfulas yom, let's call her, to be more proper, a tfulas yom for 66 days. That night 80, she becomes a tfulas yom, and the following day, on 81, until that she's a mechusar kippurim. Okay. So over there it says during those 33 days or the 66 days, she should not touch kodesh. Seems like kodesh means kachim. No, Rish Lakish, you make a mistake. That's referring to the truma that she can't touch, not the kachim. So she doesn't get malchus. Kachim is the next. It's when she's a mechusar kippurim, but we're not talking about a mechusar kippurim. Yes, you're right. It's within it. If you can't touch truma, certainly you can't touch kachim. But guess what? You can't punish her for it because it's like a kavachomer. You can't punish somebody from a kavachomer. But anyway, no, she won't get the malchus. She won't get malchus. I would choke it. That if somebody who's tamei, his body's tamei, why are you telling me that this pasuk comes to say that if somebody's tamei should not touch? Somebody's tamei with his body shouldn't eat. We're not talking about touching. We're talking about eating. What's the pasuk talking about? Touching like this guy, that you get malchus, or it's talking about this guy. He's eating. So he says the pasuk we said before that you can't. The Chazarah means in order for you to get a punishment, the Torah also has to warn you. There has to be a separate pasuk. So this is how do you know that when you eat the meat, you get malchus? I learned from the pasuk, siga means to eat. Just like when a Tommy guy goes into the Beis Hamikdash, there's a oynish and there's a hazar, there's a warning, afkan, onash v'hizir, so too, somebody eats kachim, there's a oynish and a hazara. Akol panim, what do you see? The Rish Lakish learns that this pasuk is talking about eating and not touching. Says Gemara, no, you can learn both things. Why in the world did the Torah say don't touch when the Torah meant don't eat? So from that I can learn that there's an isser to touch, even though we're talking about eating here. And there's a special, here we go, I think this is it. It says, and it says, there's a connection between Kodesh and Migdash. We have a raya to Rish Lakish. It's not talking about, it's not referring to touching, it's referring to eating. Doesn't it say touch? Don't touch? How did you jump from touching to eating? Oh, this is the pasuk. That there's a connection between the kodesh and migdash, the piece of meat and the migdash. So somebody goes in Beis Hamikdash, gets kares. Hashem takes away his soul, so to speak. Av kodesh. So too, when it comes to the carbon, one second, let's just finish this line over. If you're going to get netilas neshama miika, if we're talking about just touching, you get the death penalty if you're touching. Ela b'achila must be. We're talking about eating. Rabbi say have a wonderful Shabbos, great day. Matzah Shabbos at 9:33.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.